Welcome to the EmpowerHer Entrepreneur Podcast with Janice Boudreau, the ultimate destination for fearless women business owners ready to conquer their next level of success. Get ready to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit as we dive deep into all things related to building your empire, setting ambitious goals, and scaling your business to new heights. This podcast is your go-to resource for empowerment and encouragement. Tune in every week as we inspire, motivate, and empower you to embrace your full potential as a woman entrepreneur.
Hi, everybody. This is Janice Boudreau, and we're back with another podcast. I am very pleased to announce I have a very good friend and one of the most amazing businesswomen that I have met in my journey, that's for sure. And we have Rochelle Walters. She has been somebody I actually met, if I remember, she had first started her business out of her home. And I walked through a side door and there was Rochelle serving everything from food, soup, cheese. Oh my God, you had that amazing bread. She had like a fully operational business running out of her garage. I don't know if it was a decade ago, it was a long time ago. And we were both starting kind of transitioning then. That's when I met her. And that's where I met a person who does not back down, who I decided to invite for this podcast that's called Embracing Your Inner Fierceness, because there is no freaking woman on the planet who is more fierce. And if she wasn't one of my best friends, I'd definitely either be afraid of her or Rochelle, I'm going to leave it to you to talk a little bit about how you came, because I knew you were a nurse from the beginning, and how you kind of came from that, grew your business, how you built your fierceness and your fearlessness, and really, really smart business decisions, I have to say, all along the way. So maybe just talk a little bit about how you started out, transitioned, and where you are today, which is even more fierce what you did.
A little crazy in there.
A little bit of crazy, I know. We could only be friends if we were just a little bit of fun and crazy mixed together, right?
Yeah, probably best we didn't know each other when we were younger.
I know. It would, oh Lord, I know.
Another podcast for another day.
Really, that would be, I don't think everyone could watch that podcast.
Yeah, we would have to edit it all out.
It would just be edited, beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
So it's been a pleasure, but yeah, start with kind of what made you so fierce, and what's your background on?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And second of all, there's nothing to be scared of when it comes to me, because I generally, anything kind of goes. Like, I accept people for where they're at and just try to encourage, especially women, from where they're at to where they can actually get to. Mm-hmm. So how I became fierce, that is very loaded.
Because you've made such excellent business decisions. I mean, to go from your home base, right? When you built the first.
Yeah, like I practiced I am a registered nurse. I have a BA in sociology and psychology and my Bachelor of Science in nursing. So I got married in my early 20s, and well, not early, I guess I was 25, almost 26, but I started to have a family right away. I had 4 children before I was 31, but I practiced in nursing only until after my second son was born. And I always had the entrepreneur in me, more so than,
it's a thing.
I guess the best way to say it is I like to be my own boss. I always have a lot of ideas in my head, and maybe I struggled with authority. I don't know. I don't think I did. I think I embraced it, but still did my own thing. Like, I was never scared to be the black sheep in the room, or the odd person out, or the only one in the room, like totally having my own opinion against every other person in the room. I've always been like that. And that probably stems from, my mom was kind of like that. I guess I can I'll give her some credit for never always making me feel like I could share my opinion, but what I've had to learn as I get older, sometimes people don't want an opinion. They just want you to listen, because it's easy to get trapped in that, which is what happens with that negative self-talk with women. Is you have an idea, and you have all these other people saying, well, what if this happens, or what if that happens, or how do you know what to do with your bookkeeping? How do you know what to do with the government? How do you know what to do with the CNOs? And and you can literally talk yourself out of everything. But I have realized, like, with my personality, I guess I've always been a jumper. I'm like, I have told my kids, you always regret the things that you don't try. Telling boys that is not necessarily always a good decision, but
I know, because I have the boys.
But it's got to be within the context. So yeah. And I do have 5 boys and 1 girl, so it's been interesting. I could just do a whole podcast on that. Oh God.
I know.
But yeah, so instead of me having, like, it's not that I don't get like anxious and I don't think things through, and I, like, before I actually do the jump, like, it's not anything that I haven't thought about in my head. I might not have the whole business plan laid out, because honestly, business plans are great, but if you're married to your business plan and you have extraneous variables that come into play,
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, it'll just make you buckle. You kind of have to, like, I have one of my kids is actually starting a business right now, and he's completely overthinking it. I say, you just have to start. Don't worry about your business registration. I'm like, you have up to a maximum to make before you have to start worrying about those things.
Yeah.
So start getting some money in before you start worrying about those things. Yes, you're aware you have to do it, which is a start. So yeah, so
trapped in the details, right? They get they get trapped in, like, all the self-talk, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Their own box. They slow themselves down, which is what you did not do. I mean,
No.
I think me and you, that's another big thing, is that creating the people that you hang out with, the people that's where our friendship really took off, is when you start to align yourself with other people who are either in the same place.
100%.
We're growing. How many times did I call you to bounce something off of you, or
we'd go for breakfast and we're both having our own conversations, and then all of a sudden we answer each other and we've got all this stuff to say because we're excited, and it's like, oh, a like-minded person. And yeah, it's definitely with that definitely has an impact on. But I've also been the type too where I don't it's not that I don't care, but like women, I guess I've always been pretty secure with myself as a person.
I know that.
But women get caught up in the what other people think, or what you say, what you do, and you can't surround yourself with people that, if you don't talk to each other every day, that they're all of a sudden pissed off at you. And those are the ones that are going to kind of fuel your fire. And I have been very blessed with some very, very strong women in my life. Some have been for a really long time, some a short time. And during that short time, that was the purpose they served in my life. We're still friends, but we've moved on and we don't see each other. And so be it. Like,
yeah, it is a cycle, and it is surrounding.
It is. No, it is. So like when I was doing, like, I did have 4 kids under 5, so it was busy. And at the same time with my first husband, we had started a business as well, right? All around the same time, I'm getting married, having kids, doing the nursing, started a business with him, which is still running today. And the marriage didn't last, but the business did. The business did. So, but I mean, it's afforded my kids to have a really nice, like a good life and a lot of stability and that kind of thing, even though we had some unstable times for sure. And like the other thing too is, like, you can have a lot of, say, bad things happen, but it's what emotion and what energy you want to give to that determines where I am today. Like I've had some really shitty things, like
you have
really, really bad things, but I'd always say so have other people, and other people have had a lot worse than I have. And like, I'd have this conversation and I'd be like, okay, what was that teaching me at the time? I think that being the ability to step outside myself and evaluate those things has also given me that I don't mind jumping into the empty cement pool, because I know at some point there's going to be water in it.
Exactly. And I've seen you in your business doing different things. That's where you've been quite fearless, right? Some things you tried, may have worked, some didn't. You weren't afraid to grow, bring in new things. And I felt watching you deal with everything from suppliers to customers to clients to watching your reputation. I mean, like you said, it is a slope of up and down, and
and you always have to I always took the high road without sacrificing my integrity. And I am definitely not a pushover, but I also learned that sometimes silence and sometimes stepping back and not doing anything about it at that moment is the best thing to do, because then you can look at it more objectively once you're done being pissed off, I guess.
Absolutely. Pause in the moment, right? Everybody tries to find a solution, and in business, we got to fix things immediately. And
exactly.
I've given me that advice a lot over the years. So just wait, take it deep. I mean, you've seen me go through a lot of things too.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it is not pleasant sometimes, but I mean, in the end, you've got a vision, and you stay true to your vision. And this is just little noise things that happen here and there that you got to figure out. But like when I started, so after, I guess more or less after my marriage ended, and I ended up in a way better, I'm married to him now, so I'm in a way better situation. Anyways, I automatically started saying to myself, okay, I have all these children. Their mother is resilient, she's strong, she's intelligent. What am I going to do to show my kids that they can do whatever they want to do? It's very, very important to me. I like to give an example as their mother, because I'm going to have a lot of daughter-in-laws one day, or significant others one day. So I want them I always said to myself, I want them to respect their women and their dreams and their goals just as much as their own. Like I want it, but I can't do that unless I show them the example that you can bounce back from hardship, like some pretty bad hardships, So when I started my little thing out of the garage, that's not really what my plan was. I had actually put in a whole business proposal to purchase a hardware store. And
of course you did.
Yes, I did. I went through the whole, we were kind of getting to the final end of it. And I was going to run a hardware store. Then I was like, I could probably, because of the location, I could probably, have a little cafe and maybe start something, put a little cheese shop, just something, just because of where the location was at. But more or less why I didn't follow through with that is there was a gentleman that had been doing it for his entire life, and he wanted longevity of employment. So he wanted me to guarantee that he was going to continue working with me for 5 years. It was 5 years. And it came down to the financials, and it made absolutely no sense. And there was really no budge on either side. So I had to go, okay, that's not happening, because that would be a very poor business decision on my part. And I wasn't willing to because you are making taking a financial risk too at the same time.
Absolutely.
Although I guess I am a little bit of a gambler, because I really didn't have a hell of a lot at the time.
You do, but still, you paused, right? You thought it all through.
Yeah, I thought it all through. And then I thought, okay, well, I've got this really nice, I had a beautiful garage at the house that I was living in. Yeah, all built-in
Yeah.
cabinets,
Oh,
had like a nice sink. So
it looked like
I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll just get like a cheese cooler and and
if I
source, because at the time when I started it, like, yes, fresh and local and all this stuff is gone crazy. But
yeah,
back 10 years ago, it was in its very infancy stages, especially out in Essex County. We didn't have artisan cheeses that were surrounded by these great places in Ontario. I had always gone to Quebec as a kid because I am half French. I had relatives there, and we always went to the little artisan cheese shops, the wood makers, the candle makers, the pottery makers. And I'm like, we really don't have much of that in Essex County. So I'm like, I love cheese. I don't really know a lot about it, but I'm going to learn. And that's kind of how it started. And
it's
started
huge.
with a little bit.
Like you said,
What's
your
that?
business decision was right there. Is that you
Yeah,
need, you
because
filled a need. It wasn't happening at the time
it
you wanted
wasn't.
to do it.
Even prepared meals. Yes, you could, they're a dime a dozen now, and you can pick any corner that you want to go get them, and you can have them delivered to the door. But at the time, that really was not happening
You were the first.
at
I
all.
remember that. Yeah, you were
Yeah,
the first in our whole area. And I
yeah.
really, the podcasters can't see, obviously there's no visuals, but the way she's explaining the garage and this cooler, no, by the end, when I knew her, it was like a fully operational, huge business. And of course,
Yeah.
move, which I'll let you.
Yeah, people would come in, they'd be like, oh my goodness.
Like,
I'd be like, oh no, I have high standards and I
yeah.
like things to look good because your first visual,
Already.
I want that, oh my goodness. Otherwise you're not coming back to somebody's garage at the end of the street. So,
But you made
so
that decision. Yeah. That's
yeah,
good.
I made that decision, and then I could see that it was going somewhere, and I'm like, you know what? I have to just try it. I have to try it. I have to, I want a business in Bell River. I grew up in Bell River, and I thought, I know a lot of people in the community, but I always said to myself, you can't feed your friends forever. You have to branch out. I learned more about social media, which still drives me crazy, but that's what grew my business.
Yeah.
That's what got my followers from the States to all across Essex County, to London, to Cambridge, from Toronto.
Yeah.
So myself and I had a business partner. We built the business together. But I had also said to myself, I'm going to build this to where, as far as I want it to go for myself, and then I'm going to sell it when I believe I'm at my peak. That was
always had that plan. You really did.
I always had that plan. So I did it for 8 years, and then ended up selling the business post-COVID. So, and I'm really happy I got out of the food industry at that time.
But that's what I mean. How, like, you were never afraid to, first of all, get into that type of business, run it out, do what you had to do. Then I even remember when you were looking for a spot to first put.
So
you were really intentional about what space it would go into.
I was, because I was like one signature away from signing for a different spot, and that's the spot on the main street came up, and it was the no-brainer. I'm like, traffic across from a grocery store, it's a no-brainer. So I ended up, the gentleman that I was going to rent from completely understood. It was amicable. Like, it wasn't that he was upset or anything like that, because that would have probably bothered me because I am very sensitive.
Yeah.
And he was a really nice guy. But anyway, so I ended up on the main street in Bell River and just grew the business from there and said yes to things. I think that's a big thing too, is if there's something you really don't want to do and it's kind of in your head that maybe you should do it, you just need to say yes.
Yeah.
And have your anxiety attack and stress out and everything, but just do it. Just do it, because the momentum came from me saying yes to being a speaker at a women's group meening out at Meshedri Winery.
I remember you did that.
Yes. Yeah, which that was because that wasn't just business related, it was also like your personal journey. And that was a very big step for me to be vulnerable, because people know me, but a lot of people don't really know me. So that was to the credit of my friend Paula, who just said, just do it. Just say yes, because with that, we catered the event. So it showcased, this is what we can do, and it just catapulted from there. I mean, you don't become a millionaire when you're running a food business unless you go like large scale and stuff, but it was decent for the years that I did it. And I didn't have any debt or anything when I left it. And I was able to sell it in the end.
And so, you are literally living a retired life.
I'm 53.
53.
53. So during this little COVID thing, when I still had my business and my husband and I had lots of time on our hands, we decided that we ended up purchasing a home in Newfoundland online. And I had never been there in my entire life, set foot in the province, maybe looked at some commercials on TV, but we purchased a house online. And after the sale of my business, I did spend the whole summer there. And this is when you have a good partner in life, like he knew I needed the space and the separation. And because it was really personal for me, I did love my business. I love, maybe even not so much the business, but the people. Like, because it's the people that really, they pay your bills. They make it like exciting to come to work every day, with their stories. It was almost like we became a cheese shop / counseling services kind of environment.
Services, they were very good.
Oh yeah, like the loneliness and the sadness and stuff during COVID for especially the elderly people, like it was gut wrenching, honestly. Like they were sneaking, like their families didn't want them going out of anywhere, and they're sneaking out of the house so that they could come over to my little shop where they felt safe because it was small, with their masks on and crying and just talking about, I'm at this age in my life and I can't see my family and blah, blah, blah. So
I can see you.
Yeah. So anyway, but during COVID, that's when my husband and I bought the place out on the East Coast. I spent the summer there, fell in love with it. And that's where we plan. We're starting to build a house out there this year. So we're tearing down the house. It's an old salt box house, which is super cute, but definitely not worth putting some money into it. So we're building a new home, getting ready to retire out there. And oh my gosh, when I talk about, so again, it's like not being scared to try something, to just like, as long as it's not going to put you into like a financial disaster, which that definitely didn't. It wasn't going to. I wouldn't be stupid that way. But why not? Like, you go on vacations every year. You spend money on a designer purse. You do, like, why not do something that maybe it's going to turn into, for instance, I have a business out in Newfoundland now.
You do?
I do. No, it's passive income, but I do have a business partner. Her name's Debbie. And
you just like the Energizer Bunny, you just keep going.
I definitely have to do something. Like, I'm not I think it is personality driven too. Like, I'm a person of ideas in my head.
You're an entrepreneur.
Probably too many squirrels running around sometimes. Yeah, so her and I, she came out, she had been through a lot prior to her visiting me when I was out there that summer after selling. And I'm like, oh, there's a bank repo a couple doors down. I'm like, why don't you buy that place? So at the end of April this year, her and I took a trailer across Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick, and she is now living out there full time.
I did see that.
She's renovated her house. She has a job that's still out of Ontario that she works online. But so in the meantime, her and I have purchased 2 other houses, not with our husbands, she doesn't have a husband, but not with it, just her and I. We took some monies that I had made over the years, and we both invested. We own free and clear 2 other houses out in Newfoundland, and they're fully rented. So we have some passive income to supplement our retirement when we end up there full time. So,
wow. So now you're a property manager.
very
Wow.
picky about who we let in there.
I know that's a whole that's a whole nother
Oh my
podcast.
gosh.
Just
Oh,
that.
we've done renovations back and forth, and oh my gosh, it's been, yeah, it's been interesting. But so we'll see where that goes. But right now, that's where that all settles, and
How
hopefully,
exciting.
yeah.
So you can see, everybody, that Rochelle has some inner fierceness in her that has brought her on quite a journey from beginning to end. I mean, she is one of the most successful businesswomen in Windsor and Essex County. She's now 53, retired, living in Newfoundland. I've seen the photos, absolutely beautiful place, beautiful family. But she is a person who has chose to always move forward no matter what. She pulled out whatever was within her to go through the times where maybe the ground was flat, maybe there was a big, good God, an earthquake, a hole. Sometimes there was an upward climb. She made, for the most part, really good business decisions. She is sought after for sure for answers. I know she's definitely one of my mentors that I come to. You know, I'm sure it's always entertaining when she gets a text from me, because you never know what's going to be in it.
Probably, I always go, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What kind of advice? But you know what? That's why surrounding yourself. So I'm glad I was able to introduce her on this podcast so you could see some of her journey. Like I said, successful women usually have this entrepreneurship and this inner fierceness within themselves. Sometimes it's shyer and we have to pull it out, but we can all. So thank you so much, Rochelle, for coming on today and describing your like totally epic journey to us. And
You're very welcome.
best of luck in Newfoundland.
Thank you very much, Jan.
Okay.